and that margin for error kind of shrinks. There's so little product here, you guys. So little product. You do not need to be furiously stamping your face with a beauty blender. So what if I told you that it really doesn't matter what under eye concealer that you use? If you're over 35, no concealer in the world will perform as well as you want it to unless you update your application technique. And really, this is the technique that everybody should be using for under eye concealer, but as we age and that margin for error kind of shrinks before we start to look cakey or it's settling into our fine lines, this becomes more important. So I'm gonna walk you through the technique right here, but this really comes down to two essential rules. Rule number one, use as little product as possible in the thinnest layers possible. And I know you're probably thinking, but Kelly, how am I going to cover my dark under eye circles if I am using hardly any product? So that's where we're gonna get into rule number two, and that is you need to learn to color correct properly. So the way we're gonna do this is you have to start with an under eye cream. We typically use our eye creams at night, but you wanna find one that is light enough and that absorbs quickly enough to be worn under makeup. So I use the Clinique All About Eyes Jones Road Beauty's eye cream is great for this as well. You wanna put that on and then leave it alone. Do something else. Moisturize the rest of your face, do your eyebrows, brush your hair, do something, but let that really settle in under your eyes. For purposes of the video, I already have my eye cream on, so we're gonna go and we're gonna move into color correcting. I like to use this color correcting palette from NYX because it's super affordable and it comes with other colors that I can sort of play with. But when we're talking about correcting dark blue, we wanna be using sort of this salmon orangey color right here. That's what's gonna cancel out the blueness. You wanna be going in again in very thin layers here. So I'm just gonna take out a little bit of this salmon color and I'm gonna use a little bit of this other concealer color here as well, just because I find that on my skin, it works better to sort of have it mixed than just go in with the salmon color. But I'm just mixing that on the back of my hand instead of a palette. There's so little product here, you guys. So little product. So the next things you're gonna need, you're gonna want a small sponge of some kind. I'm using this one by Eco Tools. And then you want a flat paddle concealer brush, something that has synthetic bristles, not natural bristles to do this. And you're gonna be using these two in conjunction to go under the eye. So we're gonna start, that's an awkward angle. We're gonna start by getting just the tiniest bit of this color correcting product on the brush. And then we're gonna go in delicately in very tiny layers, tiny strokes, wherever we have that blueness. So for me, that's gonna be here, sort of under the eye, where my eyes sort of downturn and get a little bit hooded over here, and even here on the inside of the nose. So you're just gonna work in really delicate, thin layers, and you wanna let each layer absorb before you go in with another layer of product. Now, you'll get a feel for how you want to do this, but what I like to do is delicately go in and kind of push the concealer, the color corrector around as much as possible, and then I'll go in with a sponge and I'll just very delicately tap any excess off. The nice thing is you're using so little product right now that there really shouldn't be a lot of excess. That's gonna become a little bit more important when we get into the second and third layers of product. So after that first layer, what you should be able to see here, we have not concealed, but what we've done is color corrected. We're kind of neutralizing that dark blueness without using very much product at all. And the effect this is gonna have is it's gonna make it so that we can use so much less concealer when we go in with that layer. But first, we need to let that chill out, kind of set how it's gonna settle in. So same as before, leave it alone, move on to something else. I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my eyebrows while we wait. Before we go in with the concealer, I like to take that sponge again, and if any of that color corrector has sort of creased into my under eye or even on my eyelid, it's gonna do that with everybody, but you just wanna kind of dab in there and smooth any of that out before we go in with our next layer of product. So next what I do is I take my concealer, you're gonna mix it in with whatever's left on the back of your hand. This is the Clinique Even Better All Over Concealer, and you really don't need a lot of it at this point, you guys. Just a little dab in on the back of your hand with that color corrector. And we're gonna go back with that brush and sponge sort of combo action. And same thing here, guys, very little product on that brush. And you're just gonna go using the same technique over everywhere you put that color corrector. And now you're really gonna see the conceal and brighten effect of the concealer. And same situation, we don't want anything getting too cakey. So as we go, just really delicately tapping off excess. And then once you are happy with it, what am I gonna say? Leave it alone. Let it just chill out, go do something else, move on to other parts of your makeup, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna repeat this in just 1 second before we learn how to properly set the under eye. So if it's been a couple of minutes, maybe you've been prepping your skin, maybe you've got a little bit of light foundation on, what's probably going to have happened is as you've relaxed your eyes and as it's been moving around and such, any of that concealer that was maybe in excess is going to be settling again into those fine under eye lines or even into the crease on your lid. So you're gonna go back in with that sponge one final time and just delicately smooth it back out or lift off any excess. You're kind of accomplishing both at the same time here. And notice how delicate I'm being here too, you guys. You do not need to be furiously stamping your face with a beauty blender like we all have for years. This is a very light touch process. So once you have smoothed any of that back out, you're going to go in with a brush and your setting powder. Today I'm using Beauty Blender's Bounce in the shade Canary for my under eyes. And you wanna get a decent amount on your brush, but tap off excess so it's not crazy. And then the way you're gonna set the under eye is to sort of press and twist, going inward toward your nose, so that way the powder is pressing into your under eye creases. And obviously you can see why we want to use a small brush for this process, because it really fits and tucks in there. And then grab a little more on the brush, and you're gonna do the same thing on the lid, but you can really put a little bit more powder up on the lid in more of a sweeping motion once you've set it, especially if you're gonna be using that as a base for eyeshadow in your makeup application. And that's it, you guys. You can wake up your eyes, you can cover your dark circles with so much less product than you think you need, and it really doesn't matter which concealer you use to do it. So thank you for watching. I will link all of the things that I used in today's video in the description box below in case you are interested. Give the technique a try, practice it a couple times until you get the hang of it. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Tech neck is something that has started to plague all of us. No matter what fancy gadgets you're using, if you aren't giving your muscles the help that they need to support your upright posture, then you're kind of working against yourself. The more you're relying on those muscles to hold an upright posture and keep your head up, you're actually just creating a lot of tension that's probably leading to more neck pain and more headaches.